Proportion is the size of an element relative to other elements in the design. And proportion helps achieve harmony, balance, and order within a design. You can also make an element disproportionate and emphasize or draw attention to the focal point of that disproportion in your design. So let's take a look here. And here we have a funny illustration, and you can see immediately that the body is disproportionate. The legs seem a lot longer than they should be, and the body is a lot smaller than it should be. And we get this from our natural sense of proportion to the things around us in everyday lives. And humans, characters, figures are the easiest to spot when something is not in proportion because we're so used to seeing people on an everyday basis. So in things such as cartooning, adding disproportion really helps draw emphasis to a character and can make that character unique. So the character could have a very big head or very small hands or a very long torso. And having proportion relative to its own body, you can draw attention to the different parts of the body of that character that you want. The same is true in design. You can make things scaled and sized differently to show proportion and disproportion and have something very large in a scene that is, everything else is very small. So here we have a nice, balanced, harmonious proportion picture, and when you're dealing with everyday objects, things are usually going to be in proportion because they are made that way and that's how we see them. So when we have this table here with the computer, the coffee, the earbuds, the pens, and the notebook, everything is nice, organized, in proportion, and it's pleasing to look at. Nothing is really drawing your attention too much based on scale or size. However, say we took the pen in the bottom right-hand corner and we made that pen 3 feet big. Then you would get a different sense of feeling based on the proportion of the pen relative to all the other objects in the scene. It would look kind of silly to have a pen that large when you know that the computer, the coffee, the earbuds, and everything else in the scene are of natural, regular size that we're used to seeing. So in our first example, we have nice balanced proportion in this cake. And you can see that it's just a regular cake and all the cherries on top are nicely proportioned to everything else. You can also divide up the scene into layers as the cake is into layers and the proportion of the different parts of the image breaking up that scene. Now, same as with the pen analogy, if one of these cherries were extra large, it might create a different kind of style or feel to the image. Especially if you could prove that that extra large cherry was real, then you begin to wonder if that's a real cherry that is really, really big, then we must be talking about a very small cake. So proportion can help show scale and can either draw organization and unity or create chaos and draw attention. So here's an example of where disproportion has been used to kind of draw attention. And aside from any colors or anything else going on here, the quotation marks are disproportionate to the text because you know that if there were normal quotation marks to the text, they would be a lot smaller and they would fit nicely in between those blocks of text. But here they have scaled up these quotations and made the size a lot larger and have made them disproportionate to the actual typography on the design, drawing attention. So with adding a little color and adding some scale and disproportion, you immediately see this image stand out right away, and it helps draw your attention inward to read the text that they want you to see. And finally, here's an illustration of a character, and you can see some proportion going on with the cloud inside of the head, and it gives you an idea of a little brainstorm going on. If we remove the character and you just have the cloud, you don't know what the scale is to any other objects within the scene. So you might actually be up in the clouds, it could be really big. when you add the character's head and you see the proportion of the cloud to the character, you can tell that this is a little mini brainstorm going on inside of the head. Another cool feature is that the eye that they used at the bottom, that little image, is also pretty much in proportion to the head. I haven't moved it, but I would say it might be a little bigger to draw a little more emphasis, but basically it's the same size as the head and kind of connects those two together.